You will all probably recognize this aquarium from our first aquascaping video or hardscape setup video. So I have still not come around to setting up this tank because I have not been able to decide the kind of plants I want to use. So how do you choose aquatic plants? You have an aquascape, you want to use plants. How do you choose the plants? Is there some kind of a method? Is there some kind of a formula? Or is it shooting in the dark? What is it? Choosing the right kind of plants for aquascape is very, very important because that kind of defines the aquascape. Now, at this point, it is just a foundation, like a foundation or a building with no interior design. So the plants bring in the color, bring in the beauty, bring in the whole attraction, everything the plants bring in. So how do you choose those plants? Because again, without them, there is no beauty, right? Or the beauty is not as much as it should be. Even this is beautiful, no doubt, but it can be more beautiful. Now, what I'm going to tell you may sound a bit ironical because actually I've already told you this before. If you want to become a good aquascaper, then the first step is not to make an aquascape, but actually to learn how to grow plants. Because without understanding how plants grow, without understanding what plants you can grow successfully, then there is no aquascape. Because you create a beautiful design and you use a plant that you are not aware of, you have never tried before, because it looks good. I'll tell you a popular example, Monte Carlo. A lot of people don't know how to grow it. Lot of people. It's probably the most easiest plant to grow. But they've made it so complicated in their minds that, it's like a nemesis. It's like the villain. Oh, carpet nahi grow hota hai. Carpet plants I cannot grow. Carpet plants are very difficult, high demanding. See, that's because you have not understand what plants will do or how they grow or how they behave rather. So we're going to have a video on plant behavior, which is probably a next video. So we'll discuss that in detail. But here, let's discuss about choosing the plants. So the first step is to learn to grow plants. So start a Dutch aquascape, no? Only plants. Some will grow, some will not. Focus on the ones that are growing nicely in your setup. Choose your aquarium, get your soil, your whole substrate system proper. Okay, start growing plants, kheti badi, divide and farming. Start farming your plants. So now they're set to your conditions, to your water condition, to your home conditions, to your ambient condition. And let's say you've set up a tank which is about 2 by 1.5 or something like that. You'll get about 18-20 different varieties that you can plant. Let's assume that 50% of that, which is about 10 varieties, are doing very well. So those are your 10 varieties that you will use for an aquascape. This is your first approach in choosing plants, which is a fairly good approach because you are more confident. Your aquascape has a story, but that story can be also framed around these plants. You can envision these plants to be part of your story, part of your aquascape, and makes it very convenient for you. Now, take out all the plants, add a little more soil, set up your aquascape, your hardscape rather, use the same plants. So your aquascape is going to be in beautiful condition. And you will actually have submerged grown plants which have grown in your aquarium, in your condition, in your parameters, in your ambient condition, in your water conditions. And you know for a fact that they will grow, right? So that gives you a little more confidence that yes, I can make a beautiful aquascape. The next step the next approach to choosing plants would be actually focusing on the story. Now, there is a story here, there is a whole drama that's happening in this aquarium. What plants would I use and why? Now, let's come back to the point where, we were discussing the main highlights of this aquarium. This is a highlight. This section is a highlight. That section is a highlight. This cave is a highlight. And little bit more here and there, but these are highlights. So how would I make or how would I choose my plants to enhance these highlights, to make these highlights look more prominent? So like I said, see, in this tank, the wood, when you put water, the wood is going to look almost black. You're looking at an aquarium right now where these pieces of wood were used and they almost look black. So what kind of or what color plants will you use to highlight the black? So light green. So if I use darker color plants, dark brown, dark green, then it will not match. But if I use lighter color plants, light green, bright red, pink, orange, then this will start getting highlighted. So then I choose, okay, what plants are there will give me this color combination. Again, it goes back to the drawing board. You take a picture of this aquarium or your aquascape and color it. Use a color pencil, crayon, anything from home, your kid sister, your child. Pick up a few colors and color it. And see, oh, okay, these are the colors that look beautiful. So if we have like a Monte Carlo dropping down here, this will get enhanced. And this cave will look very mysterious. If the path of the cave has some light brown Anubias gold, so it's showing direction to the cave. So either side of the cave, we create some kind of a path and it's showing you a direction. It's showing you there is a cave, look for it. It's guiding you to that. And this Monte Carlo dropping downwards makes it look very mysterious. So something here in this portion, because we have a lot of space at the back, we can use some bright red or bright orange, Rotala indica, something like that, which will be coming out from the wood, and it's going to give you that bright bushy color, bright bushy look and bright color, right? Similarly, in this portion, I probably use some maybe pinkish or crimson kind of a color, Bucephalandra or something like that. And if I'm using a brighter color here, to contrast this bright color, I'll use slightly darker color Anubias or darker color Bucephalandra behind it to kind of give this a little bit more interesting look and a little bit of depth. So maybe at the back here, right at the back, we'll use some kind of a dark green or light green Rotala or even a red Rotala, depending on your choice. Maybe in that corner we'll use something that is tall, Cryptoconch spiralis red, or any of those kind of plants which is more grass-like. Blixa auberti, Vallisneria, not a good idea, but maybe Vivipara, Eleocharis vivipara, yeah, tall grass. We'll use that. The front again can be a carpet to kind of make this look good. If I'm using Monte Carlo there, then I probably use Glossostigma here or hair grass here. If I'm using moss there, then I'll use Monte Carlo here. So depending on what I use where, you kind of contrast it. Now this is a more informed and artistic approach, and from someone who already knows how the plants are going to react or act or behave. You need to know that Monte Carlo will always droop downwards. If it is placed there, it will come downward. If you put Glossostigma there, Glossostigma is a climber. It will climb upwards. So it will move to the back, or it will find space to climb upwards. So this understanding is very clear. So comes back to learning how plants grow. Similarly, in this portion, there is stone and wood. Can I grow stem plants on the wood, on the stone? Yes, especially Rotala HRA. It will grow beautifully. In this section, can I grow Cryptoconchs partly in the soil, partly on the wood? Yes, Cryptoconchs will grow in the wood. They will hold on and they will absorb nutrients from the water. So there are some basic rules about plants that people have given you. Even I shared this in the last video, but these are guidelines. If you want to create something stunning, check out all these guidelines. Trust nature. Because in nature, a lot of things happen. Fish climb trees. Fish live out of water. So many things happen. So same thing, plants also, you have to understand they are beautifully adaptable creations of nature. They are the oldest living species on the earth. They are older than us. Far, far older than us. Millions of years ago when dinosaurs were there, even before the dinosaur, plants were there. So they have adapted in so many ways. And if given a chance, they will equally adapt here. Now, also choosing the plants, which is another method, is or depends on what kind of a substrate system you want to have. Now, you want to have a simple, basic Diana Wallstead kind of substrate system, which is, just laterite and sand. Then use plants that will grow in that. Sagittaria subulata, Echinodorus tennilis, Echinodorus species, Vallisneria, Kabamba. These are all the plants that will grow in that. But if you want to go more of a proper substrate and proper soil kind of a system, in that, if you're using a particular brand, then there are a lot of plants that don't grow in that brand. So do that homework. Not all soils are perfect. Some plants will grow, some plants will not grow. Because plants generally have a tendency of, using the nutrients around them. I'll give you an example. A beautiful plant, carnivorous aquatic plant or semi-aquatic plant is Utricularia graminifolia. Now, Utricularia graminifolia will not grow in new ADA soil. No chance. Because the soil has ammonia. At the same time, if you're using indica soil, it will grow beautifully because there is no ammonia in the soil. So any soil that has urea or ammonia, Utricularia will not grow. But yes, 3 months or 4 months of water change and all of that, Utricularia will grow beautifully in any soil. Okay, so you need a really well established tank for Utricularia to grow. That's the trick. So if I intend to grow Utricularia somewhere, then I have to set my tank accordingly. Then I have to cycle it for longer and then grow the plant. So your substrate system should also give the plants the nutrition they require. So depending on the quality of your substrate system, you can decide on the plants. High nutrition, lot of cryptocons. Or otherwise, I want to use cryptocons, so I will use a highly nutritive soil. I'll use a highly nutritive fertilizer. And I'm going to repeat this again. A lot of people say, okay, non-CO2 plants. There is nothing called a non-CO2 plant. I've explained this before. There are plants, all plants need CO2. Some plants can live longer or slowly with very little available CO2. But they need it because without CO2, their whole photosynthesis stops. Their whole process of creating food for themselves stops. And slowly but steadily, the plant starts dying. Doesn't die overnight, but over a period of time, it just disappears. And one day you'll come and see and say, hey, what happened to my plant? It's gone because it's not getting enough food or it's not able to create enough food. Also, remember this. A choice of plant should always be a plant that you have easy access to. See, if you're creating a beautiful aquascape, work with the simplest of plants possible and most accessible plant. Matlab, if some place gets spoiled, you should be able to get another cup from your nearby store or somebody and replace it. Then your aquascape works. Because if you try to get something really exotic, and if something happens, God forbid, then you don't have a replacement. You can't fix the aquascape. Most aquascapers that I know, who are world leading aquascapers, focus on 3 or 4 different kinds of plants that they are capable of growing beautifully. You will see some of the most beautiful tanks will be mainly moss, crypts, easy growing plants. They focus on the design. Usually you will not have exotic or complicated plants. It's hobbies like you and me who are really keen and curious that go for the exotic varieties. So basically there are about 3-4 approaches to choosing plants. And always, if you do not understand how the plant is going to behave in your aquascape, in your environment, then that is the first mistake you will be making. Now, always before preparing your tank for planting, make sure you have all the ingredients it needs ready. The right kind of fertilizer, the CO2, the lighting, everything is ready, and then you do your planting. Don't do the planting and then go look for everything, because during that time, the plants are actually becoming weaker. Okay, during that time, the plants are actually having trouble producing glucose, matlab producing food for themselves. So these are some basic points. Now, you can also choose plants by looking at what other people have used. If you have an aquascape that is similar to somebody else, then you can, I won't say copy, get inspired from them. Okay, I'll also try and use these plants because it will look good in my tank, or this is my vision. Because you have chosen your aquascape from some vision, no, some image, some story, something, or a landscape. So see which plants match that vision, match that landscape. But again, important that you know how to grow those plants. So it all comes back to the same thing. Learn to grow plants. The more you learn about how plants grow, what they will do, how they will behave, you will be a far better aquascaper. My journey, I was very lucky. I was able to try all kinds of soil and substrate, and I was able to try all kinds of plants. Because those days, aquascaping itself as a art or as a hobby was not very prevalent or not very popular. So what did you do? You had a planted aquarium. That's all. So you tried different kinds of plants. Duckscape was very popular. So you went about collecting plants from different hobbies and planting it in any space that you had in your tank and allowing it to grow and observing what happens, right? See, the tank behind me this side has a fern called Bolbitis huduloti. The tank looks very messy. And the reason we are not doing anything to it is because Bolbitis naturally is a very finicky plant, very moody. That's the right word. Because if you do too much, it will stop growing. And then it will take another 3, 4, 5 months to grow. It kind of resets, reboots. So each plant has a certain mentality, a behavior, an instinct, and you have to understand that for your aquascape to be stunning. And in all this, algae will come. You will have algae issues. You should have algae issues. Because remember, algae is your friend. Algae tells you or is a symptom to the actual problem that you have in your aquascape or aquarium, your ecosystem. Because if there's less CO2, you'll get green algae, hair algae. If there's too much flow, probably you will get black brush algae. If there's no bacteria, you will get blue-green algae. But algae will come and don't fear it. So again, like in all my videos, please connect with 9136003735 on WhatsApp if you've taken a membership, and you are entitled to join me Saturdays, actually when possible, but Saturdays for a Zoom meeting, okay, which is a live kind of a thing, one-on-one conversation. So connect with Pooja, she'll send you the link, and hope to meet you on Saturday. And next week we'll discuss plant behavior and then follow up with algae and stuff like that, one little by little. And please suggest what plants you think will look good for this aquascape. Let me see what suggestions you have. So I'll see you all soon, probably on Saturday. And next week we'll talk about plant behavior. We'll try and cover as many plants as possible, but I'm going to focus on the popular plants. And if there are certain plants that you think you want to know more about, again, put it in the comments. All right. So I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.